What's happening? What's happening? What's going on with this? Haven't used that one in a while. Let's see. I'm probably gonna have to leave this light on. What's good? What's good, everyone? Hope all is well with each and every single one of you out there. Um, Something that's kind of occurred to me. It's not something that occurred recently, but this is cryptic reasoning, so we're gonna get into it regardless. What's good, Carlos Guerrero? Big up yourself. Welcome to the stream. What's good, Tiff Cook? How you doing? Hope all is well with each and every single one of you. I kind of want to get into this, right? Because here's the thing. So, if someone doesn't like you, right? If there are people out there that don't like you for whatever reason, right? They figured, As a matter of fact, hold on, give me 1 second. There's people out there that may not like you for whatever reason, right? So if they don't like you for whatever reason, and there's like a negative narrative about you, whatever that narrative is, right? It could be anything. Whatever that narrative is, they'll force themselves to believe the narrative, whether it's true or false. Whether the narrative is true or false, they will force themselves to believe that narrative. I've seen it time and time again. I've seen it happen in the Jay-Z situation that happened recently. Um, and it's happened throughout history. Like it's not something that's new, right? We live in a society. We live in the United States of America, right? Now, living in the United States of America, on paper, you're innocent until proven guilty. On paper, you are innocent until proven guilty. But I see where there's a witch hunt for individuals based on their success, based on how they look, based on the demographic they come from, based on their you know, based on who they are or what they represent to whomever, right? And I see it where, there's certain things that's happening right across the news, yet the people that are being paraded around, and the people that I'm seeing more often than I even want to see at this point in time, and it's not for anything good, happens to be Jay-Z and P. Diddy. Now, P. Diddy is a completely different story. I can't give my empathy to P. Diddy because not only in a court of public opinion, because the public are going to feel how they feel, but I feel as if, and this is my feelings. I feel like a lot of what he's being accused of, maybe most, maybe some, he actually did do, right? In the situation with Jay Z, especially the allegation that's being levied against him, the recent one, anyway, right? The one that's been making all the headlines, making all the rounds in the news. That one, from my perspective, I believe it's a false allegation. And I don't want to be insensitive towards the person that's bringing forth this allegation, but with the story that they're telling and how they're kind of and how they were telling the story about the situation, it sounded like someone, from my perspective, that just pulled the story out of thin air. And for me, not saying this is actually truth or not, but from my perspective and from my angle and the way that I look at it, I think that it is a slap in the face of anyone who's actually really been through situations like this in their life. If you've been through situations like this in your life, this is a slap in the face to you, right? Because if someone is willing to make up a story, right, allegedly, about an individual in order to make money or to give them negative publicity or whatever it is, There are people that actually have been through these things that deserve our empathy. There are people that are doing these things, right? Like doing the actual act that I will not, the act that Jay Z is alleged to have done, that I won't give my empathy to or my sympathy to. Period, point blank. I just, you deserve whatever is coming to you. If those are the things that you're doing. But when I see sort of how, you know, people just kind of just run to the internet with whatever narrative it is, like I just see some bold-faced lies, and I just see how incredibly biased a lot of the narrative is. And the narrative doesn't have to be biased like that. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. I mean, because the fact of the matter is, if you were if there was something happening, and all of the evidence was showing, right, based on what it is that you're saying, and based on the people that you said were there that are saying no, we weren't here, your father not remembering the story, but it seemed as if only you, that only happened allegedly in your head. And how would anyone like it, right? How would you like it if someone were to bring up claims about you, false claims as a matter of fact, and everyone just was running with it, just running with the narrative just because it was a good story. They don't care about you and your feelings. They don't care that you have a kid. They don't care about any of that sort of stuff, right? Because they just want to see a downfall. Here's the thing. When you listen to some of Jay-Z's music, he spoke about these things, right? He actually spoke about these things. From most kings get their head, I don't know if we could say that, but off, right? There's other lyrics that he has where he was like, and I think it was a Dark Knight, right? I think this was actually something that came from Batman, right? Um, and I guess, was it Batman or the Joker? I think it was the Joker. I'm not entirely sure, right? Because I didn't watch the movie, right? But I believe this is in reference to what the Joker had said in terms of DIE and be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Pass on and be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. And what we're witnessing right now is we're witnessing Jay-Z becoming all of a sudden a villain. And this isn't me saying that, oh, Jay-Z is just a saint. No, I would never get up here and try to paint a picture, you know, of Jay-Z that just simply isn't true. But at the same time, you when a person, when clearly you can see that this evidence may not actually be what it is that took place. I think the human thing, right? I think once you process it and once you look at it objectively, you process it, you look at it, you're like, hold on, wait a second. I can't just run with a narrative. That's an actual individual, this is a person. This person has a family. This person has people that they're taking care of, people that care about them. This person has businesses that they're overseeing, or they have things that they're doing, right? That this is going to affect that person's livelihood. How would you like it if you were in those shoes and someone was bringing up allegations that seemed allegedly false, right? But people were just running with the narrative. And I don't know what the guy does in his personal time. I don't, right? I don't know about any other situations, but I know this one. When I look at this one, I'm like, hold on, wait, what's happening here? This doesn't make any sense. This makes absolutely no sense to me. So that's the unfortunate part about it. Um, that's the unfortunate part about it. And I think we got to get to the point, guys, where, you know, give me one second. I think we got to get to the point where we finally start seeing things for actually what it is, as opposed to what it is that we want it to be. Um, you know, you may not like an individual, but just because there's a false narrative on that individual doesn't mean that you have to sit up there and actually believe it, right? Anyway, I kind of want to listen to, the Jay-Z accuser situation. Let me see if I can find it. I actually did see it before, and I think we actually went over it before. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is it. Hold on. Give me a second. So, um, here, this one right here. Anyway, check this one out. Check out what the lady said.
You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did ruin or run your life.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z of raping her when she was 13 years old is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward and talk today?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet. But it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
Now, again, if this is something that actually happened, if this is something that actually really happened, then whoever the culprit is that's involved in this situation absolutely deserves anything that's coming to them. And I have no sympathy for a person that would do this to a 13-year-old child or anyone, right? Much less a child. Now, that's if this person did, but either way, if this was done to her, maybe there was somebody else that was involved or another group of people that were involved that wasn't them, then those people need to be brought to justice. But kind of listening to the story and listening to what it is that she's saying, I'm at almost a loss of words because it's just so many inaccuracies that is just mind blowing.
An NBC News review of her account found inconsistencies with her allegations. She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000 to catch a glimpse of her favorite celebrities.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
So the year 2000 is the year that she said that she went to the Video Music Awards in the year 2000, right? So she went there in the year 2000 at 13 years old. She was 13 in the year 2000. And she went to the Video Music Awards. Now, wait until you hear where it is that she came from and how long it took for her to get from one place to the next place, right? And we're gonna look at this objectively. We're gonna look at the situation objectively. We're gonna present the facts, not opinions, and we're gonna really, really get into this.
Oh,
No, with having autism is like feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof juggle ball.
Feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof something ball. I'm not entirely sure what it is, exactly what the metaphor is. I do empathize to anyone that is going through a situation where they do have autism and they may view the world a little different. But of course, there are people with autism that have very unique gifts, and there are people with autism that are absolute geniuses. So yeah, I mean, everyone is different to a degree. You know what I mean? But I'm not entirely sure what a shatterproof ball. I'm not entirely sure what it is that she's describing. But of course, this is her perspective. So we'll leave it at that.
The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
Okay, so basically, the ball that she's talking about, and this is her describing what it is to live her life with her condition, is that it feels as if she's in this ball that's a shatterproof something sort of ball that she's living in, and the ball is on fire, but there's no way for you to get out, right? So kind of just listening to what it is that she's saying right there, there may be more to her mental condition than she's actually putting off, or that she's actually speaking about, right? There may be, and I'm not here to diagnose her with anything else, or another condition or anything like that, but there may be more going on with her, right? More than just autism, right? Maybe the way that she views the world, maybe this isn't all the way just her fault. Maybe she actually really believes that something like this happened. But in an objective reality, when she kind of speaks on the situation and how she speaks about it, I don't know if her reality really, it sort of like the blockchain. You know how in the blockchain, everyone's ledger has to kind of line up, right? People can't say, oh yeah, I have 100 million Bitcoin. Because if it doesn't show up in your blockchain, then that person owns 100 million Bitcoin, then that person doesn't really own 100 million Bitcoin. And then everyone else has the same ledger that says, hold on, no, this person doesn't really have 100 billion Bitcoin, but this person's saying that they have 100 billion Bitcoin. But according to the blockchain that everyone else has, that's not true, right? So this is what this appears to be to me.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an app.
All right. So the name of her friend that has passed on. Actually, let's listen to that part one more time, right? So Rochester, New York, guys. This is upstate. This isn't like upstate like Rockland County. Earlier today I went upstate. Wasn't quite as far, right? I went upstate. It was probably somewhere like right here, right? Somewhere like off right here somewhere, right? But this is Rochester. Where I went was probably like an hour and some change from New York City. Rochester, New York is all the way up here, guys. It takes in excess of 5 hours to get from Rochester, New York to New York City, right? Where the Video Music Awards evidently went on in the year 2000. 5 hours, right? At 13, a 5-hour drive. And she's saying that her friend brought her this 5 hours. 5 hours.
The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
So boom. So now automatically, so her friend brought her there. Her friend has passed on, rest in peace to her friend, if this is actually something that actually really did happen. And even if it's not, rest in peace to her friend either way, right? But here, now, it just so happened that somewhere along the way, the limo driver just appeared. What happened? Was this a situation where the friend that was there actually brought you to the limo driver? How is it that the limo driver just came and just recruited you out of nowhere, and now automatically it's like boom, now you're a part of the VMA, like
died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver who offered her a ride to an after party.
So boom, so she got a ride from Rochester, got to New York City, and then boom, she spoke to the limo driver. So this is the way that they're saying the story, right? So there's like nothing leading up to that. There's just got from Rochester, New York City, spoke to the limo driver. Rochester, New York City, limo driver. Just can't go in here. Rochester, New York City, limo driver. Evidently no break in between, right? Nothing, it's not broken down what transpired in between that happening.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me
Stumbled upon Diddy's driver.
that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo.
Now look, now listen. Now she gets from there and now she's talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo. So wherever it is that she went to, now she's speaking directly to, evidently, right? Allegedly, she's speaking to Benji Madden about his tattoo. Now wait till you hear what it is that actually happened to Benji Madden and his tattoo. Where was Benji Madden and his tattoo on the night that this allegedly happened?
Because, you know, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper, because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
In a statement,
So you see the thing, sometimes you'll have people that sort of do that, right? So maybe, I don't know if he actually has a tattoo that says Last Supper on his head. I don't know if that's actually true or not, right? But this is one of those situations where it's like, maybe this is an individual that was really fascinated with certain celebrities or whatever it was. So maybe they know the ins and outs. Maybe this obsession that people have with celebrities, right? Listen, they're people just like everyone else, right? They're human beings just like everyone else. But maybe in doing her research, she realized that, oh, whoa, that's a cool tattoo that says the Last Supper. So maybe her at 13 kind of just knew the ins and outs, or what was happening with these people that she kind of deemed her favorite celebrities. So then she kind of mixes that in there where people are like, oh, you know, he really does have a tattoo. I don't know if he really has a tattoo that says the Last Supper or not. Hold on. As a matter of fact, let's try to validate that. Benji Madden Last Supper tattoo. Okay. So now the crazy thing about this tattoo, me looking at this tattoo, the tattoo doesn't say the Last Supper. The tattoo does not say the Last Supper, right? What you see here is, hold on, let me see if I could actually, hold on. What you see here, what you see with the Benji Madden tattoo is that it doesn't, I don't see where it says the Last Supper, but I see the actual, what you would see like on a screen, or like on a picture frame, you'll see like, you know, Last Supper. So let me see. I don't know if you guys can actually see this. Okay, that disappeared. I don't know what's going on here anymore. Give me a second. Right. Okay. So, all right. Now, as a matter of fact, let's go here now, right? Let's go here. So, we're looking at the alleged Last Supper tattoo, right? So, the Benji Madden Last Supper tattoo, right? So, now let's see. Where's the Benji Madden Last Supper tattoo? Now, I don't know if this is actually his hand. So this is allegedly his hand. Don't know. I don't see a Last Supper tattoo right there. Okay. So this is evidently the Last Supper tattoo, right? Okay. That disappeared quickly. I don't know what just happened there. Oh man, what's happening here? So is this Benji Madden? Okay. I think this is Benji Madden, right? So I don't know if the tattoo necessarily says Last Supper, right? But there's certainly here it is, right? So you know, doesn't necessarily say the Last Supper, but this right here, this his hand right here, right? His maybe I'm guessing this is his left hand, based on where he's standing. That appears to be his left hand, and the tattoo sort of upside down based on how he's holding his hand. But as you can see right there, something that resembles the Last Supper, right? So that evidently is the Last Supper tattoo. Um, okay, so maybe you guys are seeing it now. Are you guys seeing what it is that I'm seeing now? So right, so here it is. Right, so his left hand, it appears to be his left hand right here. So this would be the Last Supper tattoo that we're talking about right here. Last Supper tattoo right here, right? So I don't see where it's written Last Supper. It could be that it says Last Supper. I don't entirely know, but I just see pictures. Now let's listen to what it is that. Okay, so I didn't hear what she said that it says the Last Supper, but she said that it is the Last Supper. And context is important. So what it is that she says in that situation would be important because it's like, okay, all right, cool. Well, does a tattoo say the Last Supper? Is it the words, or is it the words and the picture, or is it just a picture? Right. So yeah. So now here's the thing. Now this is what it is that we're talking about. So Benji Madden and the band that he's in, right? So I'm guessing that Benji Madden is in what's the name of the band? Was it Good Charlotte? It was Good Charlotte, wasn't it? I believe it is Good Charlotte. So Benji Madden, who was in the band Good Charlotte, right? Who was in the band Good Charlotte. Um his representatives and the representatives that evidently people that represent Good Charlotte are saying that hold on, wait, well, he wasn't even there. He was in the Midwest. So see, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs. Right. So this is what it is that we're talking about when we're saying that these allegations, it's just there's so many inconsistencies in these allegations. And if you're gonna bring up stuff against people like this, you can't just be naming random people, right? Because now you're implementing people that don't have anything to do with the situation, right? And putting them in a hypothetical situation, right? Or maybe a fantasy situation. Not entirely sure what it is that's happening there, right? Allegedly. So the representative is saying that, hold on. And I'm sure this is something that you could kind of go back and look at, right? This would definitely be something that there's record of this, right? So where was Good Charlotte in the year 2000, right? So this would be something I think we should actually, I don't know, all right. So, um, let's see. Let's see where Good Charlotte was performing. Okay, so AI is saying that Good Charlotte performed at on. No, it doesn't say that. This is the AI overview. No, that's this is not what it's saying. It's not saying that they performed there. This is just basically just restating what it is that I said. Good Charlotte performed at on stage. Good Charlotte is a rock band. Left. Okay, show more. Hold on. Did. All right. So I think a better thing. When was the 2000? When was the 2000 VMAs? Oh wow, that's actually my mom's birthday. So on September 7th, 2000 is when the Video Music Awards happened, right? So the Video Music Awards happened in September 7th, 2000, right? So now let's take a look at this, right? Let's take a look at this. So now that we know the actual date that it happened, where did Good Charlotte perform on September 7th, 2000? Okay, so that's Reddit. That's probably not going to get me exactly what it is that I need right now. What is this? Safari? Oh, come on. Let's close Safari. Let's close Safari. Safari's getting in the way right now. So yeah, that's not exactly what it is that we're looking for. All right, so Good Charlotte 2000 concert tour history. So let's look back at it. The year 2000, right? So this right here, 2000, right? So in the year 2000, Charlotte performed September the 7th, 2000. Good Charlotte actually performed, ladies and gentlemen, guessed it, in the Midwest, right? So in Chicago, Illinois is where they performed on September the 7th, 2000. You get what it is? You get what I mean? So this is exactly what it is that we're talking about. See? It says so right here. This is the part right here that's highlighted. And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about inconsistencies, right? So people just get a narrative, they run with the narrative, but everything's not lining up. So you put someone on the scene that was 800 plus miles away. Look, listen to me, plus miles away. So you implemented someone, you put these people on the scene, but these people were actually all the way in Chicago. And I've driven to Chicago. Chicago is actually 12 plus hours, right? From New York City. So if you're driving directly to Chicago and you're driving by yourself, you're probably going to stop for gas a few times, right? Depending on when you're watching this. If you're watching this at some point in the future and you're not using gas anymore, right? Maybe maybe electric vehicles have taken over at this point. But as of right now, in the year 2024, and definitely back then in the year 2000, if you're driving to Chicago, you're probably going to need to stop for some gas a few times. It's going to be 12 hours if you just took a straight shot there, driving, maybe a little more. So yeah, Good Charlotte being at the scene, it just wouldn't make sense to me, right? It just wouldn't make sense. They actually performed in September 7th, 2000 in Chicago, Illinois, right? So there we have it right here. So from there, they went to Washington, D.C. Let's see where they were before that, because this will give more. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So they west. So September the 6th, they were Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, then Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and then Chicago, Illinois, right? So they were all through here. So first they in September the 6th, they were in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, right? Then I'm wrong. They were not in Philadelphia, but take that back. So in August, that was August 26th. So September 6th, that's not where they were. September 6th, they were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, right? So I kept looking at Eve 6. Sorry about that. So Eve 6 is what kind of threw me off just now. So September 6th, they were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. September 5th, they were in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So they were in the Midwest at this time when these were Sean Carter, right? So this is what it is that we're talking about when we're talking about the inconsistencies, right? But yeah.
At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in.
So this is the part that, it gets real Mickey and tricky, right? Because now, again, there's a female celebrity that she's bringing into the situation that they're not naming, right? But if someone was there watching, then that person ought to be held liable as well if there was a female celebrity involved in the situation. I don't know who it is that she's who was Diddy dating at the time, who was Hove dating at who knows, right? Who knows exactly what it is that's happening or what it is that she's alleging at this point, and who else she's trying to implement into this situation. So these are the things that are happening. These are the inconsistencies that we're talking about. So if you're gonna put allegations on someone, these are human beings, right? Everybody involved is a human being. So if this individual is going to put allegations on these human beings, this human is putting these allegations on these human beings, right? We weren't there, we don't know. But objectively, when you're looking at the inconsistencies, right? Speaking about the Madden situation and how Madden, how good Charlotte was all the way in the Midwest, from Minneapolis to Milwaukee to Chicago, between the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th of September, it doesn't match up. It doesn't match up. They were on tour in the Midwest at the time that these things were alleged to have happened.
And raped me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the.
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me what I did or where.
This is the part right here that really throws me for a loop, right? So now she gets to the point where now she's starting to really disrespect her father, right? Now, I can't imagine someone, again, guys, remember, right? If we're talking about Rochester, right? If we're talking about from Rochester to New York City, right? To drive from Rochester to New York City, right? This is it. This is what it's saying right here, right? You're driving from Rochester, New York to New York City. This is how long it's going to take you to drive from Rochester to New York City. Look at that over there in the corner. 5 hours and 21 minutes to drive from Rochester to New York City. Well, 5 hours and 21 minutes right now, right? And another time it could be 5 hours, 5 hours and 5 minutes, right? Depending on how traffic is. Maybe sometimes it could be 6, 7 hours. Back then there was no, they didn't have the GPS wasn't as people didn't have GPS as much as they have it right now. Put it that way. Back then. Right? So you're driving all the way from Rochester to New York City. So this is one thing. So now the situation happened, and she said that she was able to get away. Evidence she hit Diddy in his neck, allegedly, ran off, got away, went to a gas station, got on the phone, called her father. Right? So we don't know how much time has passed in between that, right? But she went from feeling woozy to now all of a sudden she's alert. She's strong enough. She calls her father, right? And her father drives from Rochester, New York, right? Down to New York City, right? Allegedly. 5 hours. Okay. But then this is the thing that really gets to me, right? Because the way that she's describing her father didn't even ask. Her father didn't say, hey, where were you? What are you doing down here? How did you get here? What's happened to you? You look different. There's something off about your energy. You don't seem happy. None of this was mentioned. No questions were asked. And then, of course, everyone's different. But the human mind would have some sort of natural curiosity. If anything, how did you get here? What are you doing here? What's going on? Again, it probably took more than 5 hours back then because, again, GPS, they didn't have no GPS that's telling you to go all the way here. Her father probably had to buy a map. This is back then. They didn't have your GPS wasn't on your phone in the year 2000. In the year 2000, your GPS was not on your phone. In the year 2000, if you had a GPS, you had to actually buy a GPS device. And good luck with the connection. And good luck with everything involved with that. So it probably took the father more than 5 hours and 21 minutes. It probably took the father more than 5 hours to get there. And we don't know how much time is in between that. So now she's waiting at this same gas station for hours upon hours. 5 could be 5, could be 6, could be 7, could be 8, could be 10 hours. And she's waiting at this gas station. And then when she gets in the car, she says that her father did not ask any questions. He didn't ask how you got 333 miles away from home. He didn't ask how you got all the way here from Rochester. He didn't ask, what are you doing here? He didn't ask anything. Nothing. You see, again, the way the story is being described, it's like she called her father where he picked her up and drove home. And it's seemingly no time has passed in between that. But this is pretty much over 5 hours that's passed in between this time. And then once he picks her up, she said they drove home in silence. He didn't ask any questions. Where you been? Where you were? What's going on? No questions. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. What exactly is the polygraph really going to do? Okay, so in a situation like this, when we're dealing with someone, may again, I said this before, right? She may actually believe that this happened, but it's sort of like the blockchain where it just doesn't check out on anyone else's lever, right? I don't know if you've known anyone who's had any sort of condition up here. They actually think that things are happening that did not really happen, but they actually believe that these things have happened. So I'm not here to really, throw her under the bus or any of this, that, and the third. If anything, I'm really looking at the lawyer like, bro, what's happening here? Because he said that there was another law firm that they looked it over and and they gave it to him. Maybe there's a reason why that other law firm was just like, oh, you know what? This ain't us. You take a look at it. But you decided that you were gonna take on that lawsuit. Now, allegedly, you took on that lawsuit, allegedly, because you were thinking that Hove was gonna settle. Like most celebrities, they settle when a lot of these things happen, they settle. Then there becomes like then there's like a non-disclosure or something of that sort, and then these stories don't see the light of day. It just disappears, and then the lawyers paid, and the clients paid, and everybody's paid. But in this instance, Jay-Z said, "Hold on, wait, no, you're not going to do that because I have the resources to fight this alleged false allegation, and I have the time. And not only that, we're going to expose you." So this is what we're talking about here. So having seen these things, having looked at the evidence, having listened to the story of the person that's putting up this allegation against Sean Carter and Sean Combs, when you look at the evidence again, right? I'm not here to say that any of these guys are any sort of saints. We're looking at this situation. This situation, not all the other stuff. I don't know about all the other stuff. The other things that Diddy did, again, as far as my belief goes, maybe he did a lot of those allegations, right? A lot of the things that was alleged against him, right? Maybe those things actually did happen. This situation right here, and again, I remember initially when those allegations came out, I was saying, all right, cool. Well, yeah, maybe some of this is true in regards to Diddy, but I believe that a lot of this is just money, is just a money grab from a lot of people. Because once people smell blood or they see some sort of opening, they're going to exploit it. These are the same sort of people that exploited the PPP loan and all of these other sort of things. They try to find these cracks and they just try to exploit. People are going to do this, and they don't care about the repercussion. They don't care about what it means for that individual, right? The fat pig is going to get slaughtered, and people are going to eat, or so they think. Or so they think. Right? That's the unfortunate part about this whole situation. Right? That's the unfortunate part about it, right? Her father, the way how she put her father in the situation, she put female celebrities, she tried to put Madden in the situation, and none of this stuff is checking out. From people not remembering that happening, right? The father would remember driving 5 hours to pick up his daughter, his 13-year-old kid. Madden was all the way in the Midwest between Chicago and Minneapolis and Milwaukee. So yeah, it's just one of those things, guys. I think we kind of have to revisit the way that we're programmed to just target people without actually having evidence, right? Because people are liable to say whatever, especially if you got a little bit of money or a little bit of clout or whatever it is. People will falsely put allegations on your behind. But it's just unfortunate that when these things come across the headlines or people see these stories, it's almost as if they're incentivized to redistribute or to continue the false narrative and to add their own false narrative to it as well. Personally, I believe we got to get to the point where we start changing that. And yeah, just approach it from a different angle, right? Because if you guys were in that situation, you wouldn't want people running with a false narrative. So regardless of how you feel about Hove or anybody involved in the situation, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the evidence. Do the facts check out? Does the evidence check out? In this case, in this situation, I'll allow you guys, you ladies and you gentlemen, to look over the evidence for yourself and decide for yourself what it is that you think. I know what it is that I think. But what is it that you think about this situation? Anyway, this was another episode of Cryptic Reasoning. Thank you guys so much to people that were here. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. This is how we're going to be doing it from now on. Take care of you guys. Bye-bye.